to all those who are in and all those who are coming in as well. So they can continue to come in while we start. So a very warm welcome to the Canadian Universities and Colleges Conclave, Season 3. All seasons have been extremely successful. Today is the second day of the talks and the final session as well. Tomorrow is our virtual education fair. My name is Ganga Dandapani and I'm Senior Vice President at Canam and also your host for today. A quick introduction to who's Canam. We at Canam have been pioneers in career counseling for students headed to Canada for the past 27 years. Canam has been very special to Canada and a leader in promoting Canadian education. We have a large network of offices in 30 locations across India and are members of major accrediting bodies throughout the international education sector worldwide. Our career counselors are highly experienced with decades of experience in recruitment processes, programs, admissions, and compliance. At Canam, we value a strong working relationship with our university partners, which is a huge benefit to our students. Anurag Sandhu, CEO of Canam, is an RCIC, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and thus licensed by the Government of Canada to provide guidance on study permits and immigration advice. We connect with over 2.5 lakh students and professionals each year to apply to university and college admissions around the world. Our free services include live interaction with delegates through webinars, visits, admission workshops, office visits, and so on. In-person and virtual career counseling, admission services, visa guidance, getting application fee waivers where possible, providing scholarship options where possible, and interview preparation where it's needed. 97.2% of tens of thousands of students applying through Canam get accepted into their choice of programs in Canadian institutions each intake. And we would like you to certainly be one of our success stories as well. And how do we get it right at Canam? We have high quality personalized counseling because of our highly experienced counselors who are trained by universities and colleges, and facilitate direct communication with universities and colleges between students and the universities and colleges so that absolute transparency is maintained. Artificial intelligence driven smart search technology for custom match of profile, eligibility, and field of interest developed over inputs from 10 million man-hours of counseling over 27 years, and perfected ISO accredited application processing system for over 27 years. And now for the topic of today, postgraduate study, master's degrees, or skill-oriented certificates, what suits your objective? I now introduce our panelists for today in alphabetical order. Bruce Wilson, Operations Manager, Kingsway Academy, and President Bruce Wilson Consulting. Bruce is an accomplished professional in international education with more than 25 years of leadership experience in Canada. Also, for more than 5 years, he's acting Operations Manager at Kingsway Academy. He has created strategic recruitment teams in China, Korea, Vietnam, Africa, and South America that have effectively increased the enrollment of international students. He has excellent skills in building partnerships and relationships, proven ability to forge and maintain mutually beneficial working relationships with agents, global partners in education, academic leaders, and in government. Thank you, Bruce, for being here today. Our next panelist is Dhruv Mohan, Manager Recruitment, South and Southeast Asia, York University School of Continuing Studies. Dhruv is an international student recruitment and business development professional with 10+ years of experience across industries, possessing a strong background, proven skills in marketing strategy, business development, client relationship management, event management, and demonstrated ability in leadership, teamwork, public speaking, and interpersonal communication. Having worked in the education sector with premium institutes, including Australian University of Adelaide and Deakin University, and Canadian universities, York University School of Continuing Studies, his expertise includes international education, market research, student recruitment, and partner tie-ups. He has previously led student-centric projects collaborating with NDTV, Rajasthan Royals, and Rising Pune Supergiants, which are both IPL teams. Thank you for being with us today, Dhruv. Pranav Rathi, Market Leader, South Asia, Fanshawe College. International education professional with 13+ years of experience in the field, Pranav has worked with different capacities for institutions in UK and Canada. In his current role as market leader, South Asia for Fanshawe College, he is responsible for recruitment and academic partnership in the region, along with enrollment management for the students coming in from India. Great to have you with us, Pranav. Our next panelist is Prashant Srivastav, Director of Business Development, MENA and South Asia for Seneca College. Prashant is Director of Business Development at Seneca. He began his career in international education in 2006 by opening the first overseas office for VIU in New Delhi. In his previous assignments, Prashant has worked at the University of California, Riverside and at NYIT. In his free time, he volunteers with several non-profit and bipartisan organizations in Canada. Prashant is a frequent speaker on the Indian education system, doing business in India, Canadian education, impact of COVID on international education, Ontario college system, and has participated in international conferences and panel discussions on entrepreneurship and skills development. And he's on our panel too. Prashant holds a Bachelor in Electronics Engineering from D.Y. Patil College of Engineering and Technology in Maharashtra. He's an MBA from University of Hertfordshire, UK, a post-degree diploma in Business Studies from Vancouver Island University, Canada, and certificate in Immigration Law Policy and Procedures from the University of British Columbia and Canadian Bureau of International Education. He's a regulated International Student Immigration Advisor, RISIA, by the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, Canada. Thank you for being with us today, Prashant. Suraj Shah. He's Associate Director, International Marketing and Recruitment at Thompson Rivers University. Suraj is currently serving as the Associate Director of International Marketing and Recruitment at TRU. He's an international alumnus of TRU as well. Over the past 8 years of his career at TRU, Suraj has supported thousands of students with their dreams of studying in Canada. His work and contribution to international education have also been recognized by British Columbia Council of International Education. Great to have you with us, Suraj. We have Ute Gerbeshagen, Graduate Recruitment Coordinator, Goodman Business School at Brock University. Ute has worked in higher education for the last 13 years across a variety of areas within admissions, marketing, and student recruitment. She has spent several years working at King's College London in the UK before joining Brock University as Graduate Recruitment Coordinator for the Goodman School of Business at the beginning of 2022, where she manages the school's outreach and recruitment activities and acts as first point of contact for any student interested in joining Goodman's graduate business programs. Great to have you with us, Ute. And our panel discussion, of course, starts now. Don't forget to type in your question and WhatsApp number and the city you're located in to the chat admin in the chat box. If your question is absolutely unique in general, we'll pick it up for one of the panelists to answer. If your query is specific to your case or profile, an expert Canam counselor closest to your location will contact you in the next 2 working days. We request you to keep your video off and audio on mute. Thank you. Thank you for joining in the session. And now we start the panel discussion. So panel is ready. Okay, the Canadian education system clearly offers 2 types of credentials: academic and professional degrees, or skill-based certificates and diplomas for industry employability. But how do you choose to zero in on the right option for yourself? This has always been a dilemma for most of the students who come to visit us, come to speak to us. But students, don't put yourself in a box and don't get yourself so worried up. Today's panelists will help to decode just exactly this. So keep the questions coming into the chat admin in the chat box along with your WhatsApp number. And the topic today is, of course, choosing a master's degree or a post-degree diploma or certificate in Canada. What is most suited to your profile? My first question goes to Dhruv. Dhruv, to better target Canada's economic needs and labor shortages, we hear that candidates may in future be chosen for permanent residency based on occupational background and sectors of the economy with labor shortages. So the question we have begun to receive from students now is, how shall I choose a popular subject or program to study that is in high demand in the labor market when I graduate? York University School of Continuing Studies offers some very high demand programs in the labor market, but they are not master's degrees. However, a large number of Indian students still choose to study your shorter duration certificate programs. Is this the future?
Hi, Ganga. Thank you for that question. Very happy to be here. Very relevant question, especially in the current times. I won't want to put out a blanket statement and put across whether it's the future or not, given that the needs and aspirations of every student or applicant can differ from each other. What might be a good fit for one student might not be a great fit for the other. So I would refrain from saying whether it's the future or not. But having said that, I would want to put across some attributes in terms of the programs that are being offered at our school and what makes them popular and very relevant to these times. So if I start from the basics, which is the admission requirements, if you look at our programs, they're very flexible in the sense that we do accept 3-year undergraduate degrees as a prerequisite to come into our programs compared to the master's degree that sometimes require 16 years of education. Also, our programs have multiple start dates. When you talk about a master's degree program, on certain occasions, there could be limited intakes, and they get very, very competitive with limited seats as well. Also, to highlight, in terms of our programs, you could come from a non-related background and still do our business-related programs. A good example would be an engineering graduate wanting to get to understand the business side of things. You don't need to come from a business background, which means you would have a lot of flexibility if you're looking to get into a new stream as well. Our fee structure is very nominal as well. For 2 programs, you could be shelling less than $40,000, which is what is also making these programs very, very attractive. In terms of the structure of these programs, they are designed and delivered by industry professionals, which means they are very much in sync with the industry demands and what's relevant to the changing times. So a good example would be a program in digital and content marketing. The Greater Toronto Area has seen 164% growth in this domain, and it's continually rising. If you spoke about social media, digital marketing a few years ago, not very relevant, but very, very important and an integral part of marketing in these changing times. Another good example would be the cyber security space. So we offer 2 programs, one in cyber operations, the other one in offensive cyber security. It is taking 21% longer for cybersecurity roles to get filled up compared to other IT jobs, given that there is a dearth in the supply and the demand is massive as we speak. So the programs are very relevant to the changing times. They also are complementing each other very well, which is making them very popular. For example, the digital marketing program can be clubbed with a program in public relation. What that means is the students can end up doing 16 months of education. Our programs are 8-month in duration, and they can still avail the up to 3 years of PGWP, which is making these programs a very lucrative proposition for any student. And lastly, as I spoke before about the flexibility, in terms of the audience that we cater to, whether you're looking to upskill yourself, whether you're looking for a change in your profession, or whether you're looking for a promotion, these programs cater to all 3 different kind of audience. So you could be a fresh graduate, you could be a working professional with few years of experience behind you, or you could be a seasoned working professional with multiple years of work experience behind you. These programs absolutely cater to your needs. And just as a cherry on the top, in terms of the infrastructure that we are providing, so we recently opened a $75 million state-of-the-art infrastructure building dedicated to the School of Continuing Studies. And I'm very, very happy that our incoming students are able to utilize and learn in this amazing setup. And that's why these programs are becoming increasingly popular because of their flexibility, because they're very relevant, and because they cater to the changing times.
Thank you, Dhruv. My next question is to Prashant. For transitioning international graduates to permanent residents, IRCC says a potential category for selection in express entry focused on international student graduates could respond more directly to critical shortages. For example, a new express entry category could include graduates with a degree or a diploma in in-demand fields from a designated learning institution. Now, Prashant, as per the Ministry of Colleges and Universities data, Seneca College has one of the largest number of international students from around the world. Now, do tell us about the mandate set by the government for public colleges in Canada and how do colleges like Seneca fulfill the mandate? Our programs in health sciences, data analytics, food service, IT and computing, digital media, retail sales going to help with these critical shortages? What's your opinion?
Yeah, thank you, Ganga, and good evening to all the participants and students in India. Also, very nice to meet my colleagues in international education from across Canada. So, yeah, before I answer this question, I will brief also Indian students about some differences what we have when we compare Indian education system with Canadian education system. So in Canada, the education is a provincial jurisdiction. Every state, every province has its own Ministry of Education, and they are responsible for oversights of universities and colleges. So that is one of the biggest difference as well, because in India, the colleges are affiliated to a university and a degree comes from a university. Here in the province of Ontario, when Ontario college system was established in 1965 by the Act of Legislature, 24 colleges were established, including Seneca. And these colleges are publicly funded when they started in 1966-67. So then there is also a difference between a structure between a college and a university. And again, it comes with the mandate. So the mandate also differs on the type of education universities would deliver and the type of education colleges would deliver. So colleges started with delivering their vocational education, skill focus, practical education, which has employable skills. The mandate for colleges is to upskill people with technical skill and also to support and drive prosperity of the province. So that's how the college system was established, and that is how it has been delivering education. So when it comes to college governance, the programs are also established by industry experts. We have program advisory committee which gives input in offering the programs, and ministry keeps a close watch on colleges. So based on the labor market needs, the programs are delivered. So you're asking this question that is these programs really relevant to the job market or not? It is, because the programs are offered with consultation of industry stakeholders and also are designed with their inputs as well as based on the labor market needs. So the programs also change from time to time, as Dhruv was mentioning about the new programs what are offered at York. So similarly in Seneca and many other colleges, we keep changing. We keep changing our programs based on the jobs of the future. So for example, today now, we are teaching students about advanced manufacturing. We have robotics lab. There is a lot of investment in mechatronics going through new for the new jobs of the future, as well as we are promoting entrepreneurship, because now not all students even from India, they are looking into getting a job. They want to start their own ventures. People are becoming very innovative. So you see, like in India, we have the third largest ecosystem, startup ecosystem in the world. So similarly, we are also catering to those students because they are coming with this aspiration that we are not only looking for jobs, but we want to start our own venture. So in Seneca, we established our Center for Entrepreneurship, which is called Seneca Helix. And in last 5 years, we have helped over 500 startups ventures, which has come out of Seneca Helix. So that's how we are agiling and we keep changing. And more so, the another differentiator factor is on the applied research. So in both universities and colleges, they do research. In colleges, we have a focus on applied research, which is based on the practical aspect and also on the need of the industry. So in Seneca, we work with 1,000+ industry partners for various applied research projects. And there is a huge focus on students when they come for the studies in Seneca on the co-op programs. So our programs have integration with employment right within the program content. So we have students will come for studies in these programs, and then they will go for co-op, and then they will graduate with employable skills. So skilling is in the big agenda of colleges. And with Indian context, I can compare it with the new education policy as well. Like when you see now skills university being set up in India, and also the policy has those offering of certificate programs with multiple entry and exit points. So this model is relatable to the Ontario college system, where we are offering certificate program, diploma programs, postgraduate certificate programs, and providing students with employable skills. So yes, students can be rest assured that whichever college they choose in Ontario, they are going to get well-trained education, and we are preparing them for the jobs of the future. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is to Pranav. Pranav, graduate certificates are more economical in cost. They're well suited for working mid-career professionals who are looking for a targeted short credential that builds specifically industry-focused skills and competencies which are tied to the labor market needs. Now, also in general, immigrants with previous work experience have been found to have better labor market integration and are better equipped to transfer their skills when needed. However, many Canadian public colleges do not give admission for working professionals with 5 or more years of work experience. Why is this? Also, Fanshawe College has always been at the forefront of developing new and industry-relevant programs at the postgraduate level. How much involvement of industry is there in developing the contents of a program, and how do you ensure high employability rates, career outcomes, and meeting the labor market needs?
Right. Thank you so much for this question, Ganga. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here. So I'll take your first question first, where, yes, there has been a big debate that why is there certain requirement that more than 5 years of academic gap or experience, many of the universities, they reject the application. I just want to take this question and mention that there's no hard and fast rule. Each application is actually looked into on its merit, and it's not necessary that all the students who have around 5 years or more than 5 years of gap or experience will actually get rejected. So let me give you an example here with a student who has a related degree, has done good enough experience, can be more than 5 years, and applying to, again, a related program. I don't think so there would be a problem as far as the acceptance is concerned. As you mentioned in your question as well, wherein the students with some kind of experience actually adds benefit to the labor market here. Even we are looking for the same. There are certain cases where the experience are not either related, or the experience is really long, where the visas can become an issue. That is where we generally tend to take this decision, where the students may not be eligible after some kind of experience or some kind of gap after completion of their academics. Now, the second thing here, I want to tell you about the programs that we launch in Fanshawe. Yes, there is a program advisory committee, I think, in every institution, every college, that sits and every few months, once a year, and they see that what is the labor market need. Biggest example I would take of Fanshawe is, biggest example I would take of Fanshawe is the food production. The industry changed completely in last few years in London, Ontario. We had Labart breweries coming in, we had Corona beer being manufactured, we had Dr. Otter. So we had to come up with a program, and program advisory committee, along with the industry professionals, they decide that what kind of programs needs to be launched. So they decide that there has to be 2 programs related to food production that needs to be launched, which is going to help the labor market. And that is the requirement from the industry as well. They would need these kind of individuals. And similarly, the industry, each industry now, it's so dynamic that an upgrade is required in every few years, every few months. So this upgrade, whenever the program advisory committee sits, they're always in touch with industry professionals to understand what exactly the industry is going to be in the next few years. And that's how the program gets upgraded or new programs get launched, so that the students, they get jobs, and of course the companies, they need these kind of professionals. So that's how the decision is taken by Fanshawe College, by launching multiple postgrad programs. And of course, postgrad programs specifically because students coming up with a similar kind of a degree and adding that skill, extra skill, that is at the graduate certificate level, that is going to help them to get the right type of job in their industry.
Thank you. My next question is to Suraj. The Canadian government notes that international student graduates are well placed for permanent economic immigration since they are proficient in at least one official language and have the Canadian education qualification as well as work experience. They're often in their core working age years, meaning they will be able to contribute to Canada's economy for years to come. So Thompson Rivers University is unique in its offering of both post-baccalaureate and master's degree programs. Suraj, you were yourself once an international student. Which students do you think should go for master's degrees, and who would find the post-baccalaureate or a PG diploma or a graduate certificate a right fit? Will you please evaluate the benefits and drawbacks of both of them for our listeners?
Sorry to apologize, ma'am. Due to some connectivity issues, he's unable to join.
Uh-oh. Okay. So would anybody else like to take this question? Which students do you think should go for master's degree, and who would find the post-baccalaureate or a postgraduate diploma program or a PG diploma, whatever we call it? Will you please evaluate the benefits of both?
I'm going to jump in, Ganga, and just sort of reiterate what I said before in terms of the needs of every student could be different. I did highlight earlier in terms of certain prerequisites being different. For example, in a master's program, typically you would need 16 years of education when you're looking to get in here in Canada, compared to a little bit more flexibility with the postgrad certificate. So also, I would like to highlight, and you could choose a master's by research, but typically when you do a master's program, it is focusing on coursework. And I speak from personal experience being an international student myself. But again, as I said, there are options to look at a research degree as well. So depending on your needs, what are your aspirations, you could definitely pick a master's or a postgrad certificate. Just to highlight again, these certificate programs are very practical in nature and also very relevant to the changing times. Not saying that the master's degrees are not relevant to the changing times, but again, I would highlight the fact that the needs of the students could differ, and that might then define what they end picking up, whether a master's degree or a postgrad certificate.
Youth, would you like to add to that, since Goodman Business School offers master's programs as well?
Absolutely. I think I can just agree with what has just been said in that regards. I think sometimes these decisions, as much as you, of course, need to be aware of different entry requirements and what programs kind of set, I think it's very much sometimes the students and the candidates have to ask themselves, what am I looking for? Where do I want to go? What's kind of, I think we had it in one of our previous sessions, the term end goal, it kind of sticked with me. They really want, think about what's your end goal. And I do think that sometimes, usually postgraduate diplomas, there might be a year. They might sometimes already get you where you want to go, just to maybe get that foot into the door, or maybe just kind of equal up the qualifications that you already have and just kind of get a Canadian certificate on top saying, yes, absolutely, we can say, that he has that knowledge, where a master's degree, I think, usually is a longer commitment. So that is one thing. They're probably usually more expensive as well, but they might, kind of help you getting more to more manageable position if your goal maybe is, kind of going up the career ladder as well. So then sometimes a master's degree can be beneficial in that matter as well. So I think for the students themselves, very important to think about what is their end goal, where do they want to go, and then really think and look at the different programs available.
Okay. Would anyone else like to add anything?
Sure, Ganga, I think I can share a few thoughts. So from, again, this is mostly for Indian students since we are targeting them here. There is a difference in education system and how education is being delivered in India as compared to Canada. So having said that, all students are not the same. They have different academic preparation, the way they have gone to the schools, like there are different type of schools in India, the quality also changes. So based on that, like sometimes getting into the master's or the research-based master's degrees and programs would be very competitive. So just think of getting into an IIT in India for Indian students. It is competitive, but the post-degree diploma programs or postgraduate certificate programs, these are catering for students for skill-based programs. And so they are providing you the training so that you become employable, you get in the job market, and you become hands-on learner as well. So that's what the student should understand, that they are coming from a different country. They're coming from a different education system. Going in the flow that everyone wants to do masters, everyone wants to do PhDs, doesn't work in the Canadian scenario. It's a different country. You're coming from 1.4 billion country to a 36 million people in the country. So please do that research also, and understanding the context, that what is good for me and good for my future. Thank you.
I think one thing I would comment on regarding a master's or a postgraduate, especially postgraduate in the college system, would be that if you're looking for immigration into Canada following your completion of your program, then completing a postgraduate program within the college system is probably a better pathway because there's the employment is usually at a higher rate upon graduation, and the chances of getting the required points and information that you need to apply for Canadian citizenship or for permanent residency would be at a higher level.
That brings me to your question, Bruce. A thriving economy with incredible employment opportunities attracts many students, and so they choose Canada as their study destination. International students contribute greatly to the local economy by living, studying, and working there. A majority of students want to skill themselves for employment through their study program. So tell us more about employability being the driving force for students wanting to study in Canada, since you worked in Fanshawe College, and how various public college programs have helped to train skilled professionals in various fields.
Sure. I just, prior to the position that I have right now, I was the manager for international recruitment and marketing at Fanshawe College. And prior to that, for 15 years, I was an instructor in the college system in British Columbia. So I have a wide range of knowledge of the quality of programs. And I think for everybody listening today, I think the one thing that you can be assured of is that whether it's a university, a public university, or public college in Canada, the quality of all of those institutions is at a very high level and is controlled in a way that a number of people have spoken about. There's very large industry involvement in development of all the programs to ensure the quality is there. So the employability coming out of a college program in particular, many of the college programs, the ones at Fanshawe and other colleges, have cooperative education, which means there's 1 or 2 semesters of work experience built into the program, and you must complete that to complete your graduation. If there's not co-op, then a lot of the programs have an internship, which is an unpaid co-op within specific programs. And one of the other major features of a program in the sense of its employability or the students graduating and having good employability is that the instructors are coming directly from industry, and some are still working in the industry while they're teaching at the college. So a good example, Fanshawe College has an excellent aviation program. That program is located at the International Airport here in London, and the program has the benefit of using all of the facilities that are within the International Airport and make the program much more current, and the students that graduate, they're much more employable from that. So I think the college system is built on making sure that the students are employable upon graduation. And the employment level, probably an average across Canada, would be in the 70 to 80% range of students graduating from a program and being employed at the end of that program.
My next question goes to youth. Youth, broadly, what is the economic outlook in Canada, and what are the employers in Canada looking for from graduates coming out of universities? What do the Goodman MBA graduates say help them the most in securing employment in Canada? What are the career options available currently? And how to select master's degree programs that offer higher employability? You could give examples of your ISP programs that you offer at Goodman.
Thank you very much, Ganga. And again, thank you very much for everything that has been said by the other panels. I absolutely agree of the information that has been previously shared, and welcome to all the students that are listening in and their parents today. Very firstly, starting off, I think there were multiple questions. Let's see if I can remember all of them. But when we're just in general, very broadly speaking, when we're looking at Canada is still facing a labor shortage at the moment. We're looking at higher restored levels of low unemployment. So I think it was by September last year, 2022, we were still kind of having almost 1 million jobs where we didn't have anybody who is filling these at the moment, and the Canadian government certainly is still looking for immigration to fill these gaps in the labor market. So I think that is good news for international students that are thinking about Canada as a study destination, and also thinking about maybe then staying in Canada after they graduate. In general, what we do here at the Goodman School of Business, in particular with our programs that are designed for our international students, which is our Master of Business Administration, as well as our Master of Professional Accounting, we are helping them, or these programs really are designed to help students transition into a master level program. So pretty much really help them transition into the North American higher education system. But also help them and support them to develop the skills that they need to be successful after the completion of that program. And there are, I would kind of put 4 categories that we are focusing on to make that happen, so that what they're learning in classroom is very relevant to what they will need once they graduate the program. First of all, our BEST program, which is really a 4-week mandatory program that all of our international students have to go through, which is really kind of trying to help linking that gap that we've been hearing from the other panelists about, that the higher education system is very different. The environment, the expectations of academics to be successful in their courses is very different. And we want to make sure that all of our international students know what is expected of them to be successful in the course. And that's really addressed in those 4 weeks. The other thing that students are exposed to is something that we call experiential learning, which is part of their classroom experience. So, for example, of course, it's very important to learn the theory and get all of that information as well and study that. But as part of the classroom experience, our students are working with local community partners, local businesses that will come into the classroom and present them with the challenge that they are currently facing in their business. And then our students will be acting as a consultant, coming up with solutions. And really, and just from the feedback that we are getting from our graduate students, that is really one of the things that they value the most, being able to really take the knowledge that they're gaining in the classroom and almost kind of having a practice run and see how does it work if we, use this idea or that idea, and how do we present it to local businesses. And then local businesses actually take their suggestions, and students can really kind of see what an impact it makes for local businesses and just for our community here in the Niagara region as well, which is, I think a wonderful experience for them. It's not just something that they can add to their CV or their LinkedIn profile, but it really gives them that opportunity to put their knowledge into practice throughout their course in real time. The other component which we have which some of the other panelists have mentioned, of course, is certainly looking for co-op opportunities. So programs that allow you to actually gain work experience as part of the program. So not just, again, that it actually allows you to gain work experience in Canada, but I always like to refer to this as it's also super helpful of getting your foot into the door. It helps you build your network. Networking, I think, is probably, I would assume the same in Canada, very important when you want to get into the job market afterwards. You need to build your network, and it's great if you have the chance to do that while you're already in your program. And that's what a co-op term really can offer you. And we have seen from our international students that students have been able to successfully secure a full-time employment from their co-op opportunity, because sometimes it's, students for me are more than just their CV and their application. But sometimes going over that hurdle is very hard when a company receives large numbers of CVs and resumes to really be the one that shines. And I think if you're participating in a co-op and the people get to know you, see how you work, they like your work ethic, and you're just getting along in the team, and you can share some ideas and add value, that really helps to then the company kind of remembering you as well, in case there are job offers coming up after your co-op term. And then the last thing I want to address, what I find just from the feedback, what we get from our students, what they find very helpful is, of course, all the other services, all the other extracurricular activities that are happening around campus. And again, I think that's the same across all universities and colleges in Canada. They will help you, provide you with extra services, thinking of career services. So thinking of being able to actually speak to a working professional about, how do I put my application together? How is my cover letter and my resume, how does that need to look? Maybe also delivering session on cultural differences, what to be aware of when working in the Canadian business environment, or just any type of industry. It can be very different from maybe your previous work experience that you're bringing to the country. Of course, also just kind of guidance on, maybe you quite don't know yet where you want to go with your master degree. So really just a lot of services in that matter that are offered to students. Just as an example, I want to give a few particulars. And for instance, for our Master of Professional Accounting students, we make sure that we have dedicated CPA days. So days where we have CPA Ontario coming in and really guiding them through that journey of what next steps do they have to do to become an accredited accountant here in Canada, for example. Of course, other career fairs that go on throughout the year. And then lastly, we also have a very active Graduate Goodman Student Council, who are putting on lots of social events, networking opportunities, invite guest speakers, and sometimes really students getting involved while they're studying at an institution. Very important, not just that you actually network between each other, because you guys will be each other's peers and able to also help each other within your career further on, but just really taking advantage of these opportunities that are out there. And one last thing I just kind of want to mention as well is that, again, opportunities, extracurricular activities, career services, I think all institutions and colleges are offering those. What the very important thing is to keep in mind, taking advantage of them. Taking advantage, being active, participating while you're a student, but also seeing what services are still available to you from your universities after graduation. Most of the time, some of those services are still available to you once you graduate, because universities and colleges really want to make sure that you have that successful transition into the labor market and really can pursue your career path. Did I address the questions? Was there another question I should?
Yeah, that
I
was
should
about
pick up on?
how to select master's programs that offer higher employability.
So,
And you could give your ISP examples.
So yeah, so as we said, we have the Master of Business Administration, which is a program that I've heard some of the panels have heard as well. You don't need to have a business undergrad for that matter. We really are welcoming students from any field. And the nice thing about this particular program is also when you're thinking about an MBA, you will see that some of the schools require, for instance, 2, 3, sometimes 5 years of work experience, depending on the program. We don't have any requirement in that matter. So if you're coming straight from your undergrad and you know what you're looking for and you want to get that MBA, then absolutely feel free to apply. But on the other hand, we are also welcoming applications from students that maybe already have 5 to 7 and 10 years work experience. So the students that you're going to study with in the classroom is a very diverse mix of students from, coming straight from undergrad, but also people that have been already leaders in a specific industry and now are just looking for that additional, MBA degree to really help them step up the ladder within their industry.
I think just related to this, one of the audience has asked this question, that is a master's program more effective because it can also combine interdisciplinary courses versus PG diploma program?
I feel free for the other panelists to jump in as well. I would really kind of go back to, it's very important to know what you want. Absolutely. I think a master's does, depending on the master's program, it certainly can allow students to be a little bit more interdisciplinary and probably take other modules as part of their course as well. So, a technical diploma degree might not always have that option, but I assume that there are a lot of flexible graduate diplomas out there as well. So again, really looking at the different programs that are out there and figuring out what you're looking for as a student.
So I will just like to add, Ganga, like when we look into those certificate programs, they are able to hone your skill on multiple areas as well. For instance, most of the students are aspiring for 3 years of postgraduate work permit. So when they are choosing a program in Seneca, they choose a bundle program. So with fintech, they will do data analytics. So they combine their skills. So they with more skills, and the programs are again based on the labor market needs, they become more employable. So many students in Seneca, they do choose bundle program with fintech, cybersecurity, those kind of combinations. So from industry perspective, having those kind of skill set, they become they become more job ready. And again, it goes back to the student's objective. What the student's objective is, if they want to get into the research program, of course, we have one of the best universities. If they want to have employable skills, work join the workforce in Canada, colleges or public colleges are offering great skill-based programs. Thank you.
Thank you. My next question is to Dhruv. Many working professionals worry about getting visas for diploma or certificate programs, as a lot of ignorant education agents scare them about getting visa refusals because they're not fresh graduates. So what has been your experience with working professionals with long academic gaps in terms of 1, securing visas, 2, academic performance in the program, 3, contribution to the classroom, and 4, future employability in Canada?
Thanks again, Ganga. Very relevant questions being asked. And just to highlight, and I've spoken about this previously as well, the sort of audience we cater to range from fresh graduates to working professionals. And these professionals could have as little experience as 1 to 2 years or experience upwards of 5 to 10 to 15 years. We impart continuing professional education through our professional programs. And what that means is our programs are open to not just fresh graduates, but anyone that has work experience behind them. This is very well articulated on our website as well. And what that means is it is open for any stakeholder, including IRCC, to go through our programs and what we are offering to any of our prospective students. I would not directly want to comment on the visa success rate, but as I said, the information is out there for everyone to see, which makes it very easy, not just for a prospective student, but for any stakeholder to have a look in terms of what these programs are all about and what sort of audience do they cater to. In terms of the academic performance of anyone coming in with work experience, of course, that's not a mandatory prerequisite for us, but it is very helpful when you have some sort of work experience behind you to come and sit in the classroom. The reason being you come with real life work experience, and a real life work experience cannot be substituted by any theoretical knowledge. These students are able to relate to the content, I would say, slightly better because, when they are working in groups, when they're tackling case studies, they might have experienced those sort of scenarios in real life work situation as well. So they're able to take up leadership roles. They're able to contribute better, maybe in a group environment. And more importantly, for any prospective employer today, yes, your academic success is very important, but what they're also looking for is the soft skills. So whether you're able to solve problems, whether you're able to demonstrate leadership skills, whether you can work in a team scenario. And when you've already done that in a real life work scenario, you are very much in sync with what the industry is looking for, which means you will also have a proactive approach compared to a reactive approach. I think in the Canadian setup, it's imperative to be more proactive than reactive. Just highlighting what Prashant was saying, education system in India is slightly different. Having studied in India in one of the top universities, which is Delhi University, I can pretty much highlight that there is typically one-way communication, which is not always the case here in Canada. You would need to have two-way communication, which means you would need to be more proactive. So when you look at all those things, of course, anyone who's got work experience behind them would be able to relate to all those aspects. And in terms of the academic gap, which we were talking about before, we look at it very, very differently. So if you've got work experience behind you, we would absolutely encourage you to apply for our programs. And that's why they are they're increasingly becoming very popular because we look at students or professionals with work experience behind them very differently, given that this is continuing professional education. And we feel that you can upskill yourself at any age. Age doesn't matter. And if you've got work experience behind you, of course, you're a great candidate to come in and take any of our programs. I hope that answers most or all of your questions. I know there were multiple questions in there. I've tried my best.
Thank you. That was good. But related to that is another question from the audience. Any of you can answer this. It says, I have 10 years of IT experience in India, and after my Canadian study, when I'm going to look for my job, would that experience be considered or would it not be considered, especially with respect to compensation and position?
I can start it off, and then I'll be more than happy for others to chip in. Again, some skills are transferable 100% irrespective of which part of the world you're working in. And then other skills you'll have to probably get accustomed to or upskill yourself when you're here in the Canadian environment. So that's in terms of the skill sets. The remuneration, of course, is always correlational to the skill sets that you bring in, and that's what a prospective employer is looking for. Those are my 2 cents.
Yeah, I would just say that previous experience is always important. One of the difficulties that a student has coming out of high school and taking a program at a college or university is that once they graduate, they really don't have any work experience or a lot of work experience. Hopefully the program has a co-op or an internship, but having a previous job that's related to the industry or the area that you want to go into would be helpful. And hopefully the employer that you've worked for would give you a recommendation that could be verified.
You would like to answer that?
Thank you.
You need to
Oh,
unmute
now
yourself.
I think now it worked. Sorry, I couldn't take it off myself. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to say, just from the experience that we have to this particular question with our graduates. So what we can see in our graduates who come in with the number of years of work experience prior to, for instance, doing their MBA, the results usually are that they're not going to start after successful completion of the MBA program at an entry-level position. So they are usually able, if it's within the same type of industry, that they're then pursuing jobs within, after successful completion of the MBA, then that certainly is also seen within the level of compensation that they are offered for the positions that they're starting. So that's just from the side of the experience that we see from our graduates, where certainly our students that are participating in the MBA program, and maybe they're coming straight from their undergraduate, so they don't really have gained any number of work experience apart maybe from the exposure that the program offered to them. They certainly would still kind of look more at a more entry-level position in different companies, whereas students with work experience usually have a little bit of a they're a step ahead there, and they can kind of enter in a mid-medium manager role position.
Pranav, have you found the same?
Yeah, I just want to add, like last 2 questions have been related to work experience. There are certain programs where work experience maybe not mandatory, but it's actually good to have. For example, we have a program called business management. So that program doesn't have any exams or any books. That's completely on research based. That's completely on case study based. And having that mix of fresh graduates and students with some kind of experience in the industry, that really adds into the program, because your peers learn from you as well, because in the case studies, it's all about your experience. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just that you should be able to justify your decision. And in certain programs, we want students with actually some kind of experience that helps increasing the acumen of the students inside the classroom, and especially the students who are completely fresh graduates.
Right. So another of the students says that as someone who does not have a high school graduation, can I get an admission into a university as a mature student because I have got years of work experience? What would you say to that?
I mean, did they say they don't have? So for us, and I can now only really speak about the programs that we offer at the Government School of Business. For us, an undergraduate degree is a must-have. So students that don't have that academic record would probably struggle to really find admission into our programs.
Which I suppose would be the same for all universities, right?
Yeah, well, I think it would be difficult even for a college not have. I think even for a Canadian student that didn't have high school graduation, it would be recommended that they get their high school graduation, or at least get the credits for the graduation before they apply. Because their difficulty there's so many courses that relate to what they're going to do, especially if they're taking like an accounting program and they don't have math, or if they're going into a program that requires English or a lot of writing. If they don't have that, it would be very difficult for them to be successful in post-secondary.
Okay, now this is the age-old question: parents versus students. Parents say they should go for masters, and students are unable to explain to their parents why they should go for a PG diploma program. The question also is that PG certificates are more practical, so they have no theory. So is that easier to do? So my parents feel that you should go for a master's.
Well, I can start and then maybe other panelists can add. I think I would say nothing is easy, first of all. Yeah, so means it depends on the student, like what their academic preparation is. And and again, like, if they have to understand that they're coming to a different country. So education system is different. It's not the same way the education is being delivered in India. And as Dhruv mentioned, he studied in one of the top universities in India, and he feels that there is a difference in the education system. So here the learning is more continuous, and it's not an exam-based system. So in the Indian system, we have exam and then we pass the course. But here it's a continuous. You have coursework, you have practical, and when you are working in the labs, you can also refer to the textbook. There are excellent resources in the library. So when we say that it's practical, it is based on the application. It is based on the existing knowledge which is there. So there are textbooks to refer. There are instructors who are going to provide you the guidance. But yes, there is a practical component in it. When we are talking about the masters at the research level, that is leading to a new discovery and innovation. So you have to see where your strength is. If your strength is to work and to gain an experience in the college system, you can come to the college system. But if your strength and your background experience is to go in a research-based system, you can go to the excellent universities. So you have to think where your niche is, where your strengths are, and where your alignment would be. So again, overall, Canada offers high quality education. All colleges, universities, they have Center for Excellence. In colleges also, you can participate in applied research projects. You can excel in that area as well. So thank you.
Very quickly, Ganga, just a couple of points. I think I'll also want to highlight in terms of how this is perceived in North America compared to maybe some other destinations. Having worked with Australian universities, at least students coming to Canada have that option to choose between a master's and a postgrad certificate. Not many other popular destinations even have that option. When I was an international student looking towards Australia, the only option or the one that is popularly promoted is a master's degree. So I think the perception, not just amongst the students or prospective students, but also amongst the employers, where they look at a postgrad certificate, and a master's degree equally to some extent in terms of the focus is on the skill sets that you acquire and not the sort of degree or the certificate that you are taking. So I think that's also very important for parents and students to understand, that the mindset in North America is maybe slightly different from what you're used to in the Asian subcontinent or maybe other parts of the world.
Yeah, I think it's for parents to understand why their child would go from a university to a college after completing, say, a 4-year university degree or a 3-year university degree is difficult, because is part of their culture, It's part of their pride in the student thinking that if or their child that they want to go into university. In Canada, I think it's very, very different. I think the quality of education between college and university, the line has really come much closer together. And it really is what do you want to do at the end of that? You know, what is your goal? What is your employment goal? And I think that would be what you should base your decision on.
Yeah, I think I've seen statistics like 40% of university graduates go into colleges to skill themselves with employable programs. So I suppose a mix of both is a great option to have.
Well, Fanshawe College is the one school. If you take a single school, the name of a single school, Western University sends the most students to Fanshawe College after they graduate their 4-year degree. So to continue, and I've seen many examples of students doing a 4-year degree and then going on and taking a postgraduate diploma or certificate at a college. And the combination of both of the experience of being in a university education and a college education, putting those two together is a good thing.
Yeah, related to that, here's a question from the audience. It says, I'm doing my PG diploma. Can I get a transfer from my PG diploma to the master's in the second year? And will I still get a post-graduation work permit of 3 years after making the switch? I suppose you'll need to answer this question. Oh, you are muted. 1 second.
Thank you very much. Oh, right. So, well, but and again, in this regard, I only want to be very specific to our programs because I don't know policies and procedures at other institutions when it comes to kind of starting at a postgraduate certificate program and then transferring into a master's degree. For us, we don't consider any transfers. So any student that would like to be considered really needs to be done with their programs, and then they can, of course, submit an application. So, but we wouldn't really consider any, people that had maybe started a certain postgraduate certificate here in Canada and not completed it to then want to just transfer or be considered for entry in any of our master programs would be something that we do not consider. So students should always be done and complete their undergraduate degrees and their postgraduate certificates. And then, of course, they're welcome to submit an application. But yeah.
They may just get credits, right? If the subject mapping comes out to be the same and their grades are great.
Yes. I mean, there are I don't want to give a general yes to this. So certainly if, it really depends. And it only would be relevant for our MBA program when we may be able to give credits to core subjects that the student may have taken in Canada. But then the other thing that kind of comes on top that students need to be aware of, they wouldn't then be able, if they've been in Canada, if they started some in Canada, very important when you look at different business schools, they wouldn't be able to qualify for our international student pathway programs anymore. And if that is the case, then yes, they may be able to shorten their MBA program. However, they would have the requirement of sitting a GMAT or a GRE to even be considered for admission into our master program. So there are pros and cons. So certainly maybe, but not when it is not completed, and just transferring into the program wouldn't be an option.
All right. So another question in the audience says that a lot of you have spoken about co-op programs, and does it mean that it's great to be doing a program with co-op and one should only look for programs with co-op? What about programs which do not have co-op? Like, how are they good in terms of employability? So,
Ganga, I'll want to start off because not all our programs have that option, especially our business programs. Some of them have an optional internship, but others don't. As I said before, yes, the co-op option is a great option for students to have. But as part of our programs, we do focus on other aspects like soft skills throughout the program, like providing them networking opportunities. So we run a program called 10,000 Coffees, which is in collaboration with RBC, one of the biggest banks here in Canada. And that's a great opportunity for students to informally connect with industry. So with opportunities like those, even if you don't have a co-op, students do get an opportunity to connect with people from the industry. We have instructors that come from the industry, which bring in guest lecturers that are working in the industry. So those sort of opportunities are very much existing within the framework of the program. So yes, students are looking for a co-op option, but because we give these opportunities throughout the program, they're very much employable through these programs as well. And that's what we have seen with our programs at York SCS.
Maybe some capstone projects included, or even would anyone else like to answer this? Because I'm sure you have programs, Pranav and Prashant at college at Fanshawe and Seneca, which do not have co-ops, and yet you may be finding that students are highly employable. So what makes them more employable?
So the need. Okay, Pranav, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Prashant. That's all right. After you.
No, as I said, like programs are designed in consultation with the industry expert, and program advisory committee also gives inputs in the program designing. So depending on the need, industry need, those co-ops are provided to students. Some programs have mandatory co-op. Some programs have optional co-op. Some program doesn't have co-op. So the program which doesn't have co-op, it doesn't mean that it is not good as the program with co-op. It is the requirement of the program, requirement of the industry based on what the programs are designed. So and again, experiential learning is part of the curriculum. So the way education is delivered, as I explained earlier, and everyone also mentioned about it, that it's hands-on, it's practical. So whatever you are going to learn, you are becoming job ready and career ready. So it is not the case that the program which doesn't have co-op are not good, or the program with co-op, they are good. It is based on the program design and the requirement of the industry. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with Prashant and Dhruv here. However, I just want to add one more thing. Co-op in certain postgrad program, it's very new. If we talk about 5 or 6 years ago, there used to be handful programs at the postgrad level with co-op. Majority of the co-ops used to be at the undergrad program because the students generally did not have a lot of experience and they needed it. Because when they graduate, they should have some kind of experience, wherein a postgrad student already comes with some kind of experience because they've studied the similar degree in India or in their host country for at least 3 to 4 years. So they have an idea about the industry already. Co-op does have that extra bit, adds extra bit to their profile. But again, as Prashant also mentioned, that it's not required. Not all programs require co-op. It all depends on the program requirement, where the co-op is actually required or not. But in every program that is there, specifically we talk about institution programs in colleges, there will be some kind of connection with the industry. So they're never away from the industry, whether the program has a co-op or doesn't have a co-op.
I would just like to add something to this, in particular when it comes to, some programs require the co-op. For us, it is an optional term that students can choose, and some programs don't have it. It's important to keep in mind, and that might differ between institutions. So for instance, with our programs, yes, we certainly highly recommend students to go for their optional co-op term. It is an additional, usually 4 months to extend their studies. But we highly recommend it because we do see success from these work opportunities. However, it's important to keep in mind that students, they don't necessarily need to separately apply for the co-op term, but they need to keep an academic standard throughout their studies. So our students, if they don't meet, their 75% average academic throughout their academic studies with us, they don't qualify to be able to participate in a co-op. They would still need to meet a certain English language requirement. So they may have been able to get into the program with a 6.5 overall IELTS, for example, but the requirement to participate in the co-op is 7 overall. So they may also be required to take another English language test. So these things I think are very important to keep in mind, that just maybe because there's an optional co-op term as part, that students still need to fulfill certain requirements to be able to participate in the co-op. And I think I could really just alliterate everything that has been said by the other panelists, where every university, every college probably will offer other ways of building their network, whether it is through career fairs, whether it is through, experiential experience within the classroom. I think everybody tries to do the approach of how can we connect students to future employers. But the important thing I really want to stress here is there are lots of services that university and colleges offer and have available to their students. It is really the student that needs to be proactive and take advantage of these many opportunities that all of the Canadian institutions are offering to its student body. So I think that's really the important part, to build that network as soon as you guys kind of join us here in Canada. I think that's very important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I remember Jason telling me you really need to research properly. And I think he also said that you also need 100% attendance in your MBA program in order to be able to qualify for that co-op, right?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of requirements, and once a student has to be aware of everything. And yes, like you all said, there's so many other things. They could be industrial placement, doesn't have to be a co-op. It could just be an internship. It could be a capstone project. It could be other skills that you're acquiring through the study program itself, and which helps you upgrade your knowledge. So there are a whole lot of things which really make you more employable. It's not just co-op. So thank you for that answer. And I think we have time for just one more question. There is a question, says, I'm presently pursuing my Master of Science in Electronics, and I'm interested in certification in embedded systems, but I want to upskill my knowledge in that, but I don't see any college offering embedded systems program. Prashant?
Yeah, embedded system. Yeah, we are not offering in particular embedded system program. So you have to see which could be the most closest offering related to that field. I see many students from engineering background. They are now moving into data analytics and different fields. Cybersecurity is another area. So think of that. Like, I think you should be open to other programs. If the specific program is not offered, it also could be like the program which you are choosing, it is competitive to get in, or it is not that employment oriented in Ontario, because the programs which we are offering is, especially I'm talking about the Ontario system, is based on your employable skills, and we are teaching you to the vocational standards, and programs learning outcome would have essential employability skills. So these factors are considered in offering of our programs. And again, like think about the other areas where it could be related to the embedded system, where you see some similar programs, and you can choose those programs. That would be my suggestion, actually. Thank you.
So I would like to
okay, go ahead.
add here. Sorry, Ganga.
No, go ahead,
We
please.
do offer electronics. Electronics and embedded 2 years graduate certificate or PG program, and it's available in all the 3 intakes. The program is majorly about data communication, IoT, Internet of Things. Earlier it used to be a 1-year program, but this year we changed it and made it to 2 years. And so yeah, we do offer.
So, okay, there is one more question which has come up. We still have time for that. This is a statement and it's seeking comments. Now, top class universities can also be a hub for dealing with the future economy's needs, including the growing shortfall for top talent and the need to accelerate innovation in areas such as artificial intelligence, engineering, and the commercialization of new ideas. And Canada needs a comprehensive strategy for producing talent. A talent strategy cannot just be limited to expanding learning in the skilled trades. Your comments?
Yeah, so I will say that skilled trades is not the area in which colleges are offering. We are offering program in career focused field, which is again a vocational field, and these fields relate to the industry. So, what are the jobs of the future? As I mentioned earlier, those are the areas. Like if you see advanced manufacturing with so we have mechatronics as a program, and along with these programs which students they study, they are for instance, like with mechatronics, they also get certification from Siemens. So industry is involved, government is involved, academia is involved. That's where the program development takes place actually. So think of these I think again, understanding from the Indian point of view could be very different, because we are thinking more the way the education system in India is structured. But we think now look into the new education policy, which I mentioned earlier, how it is going to change and transform. It has done it in Canada in a way. The college system in Ontario was established. Why it was established? Because not all students are getting into the university education with the employable skills. Universities are and will be the center for the research program, where the discovery would happen, where the core research will go. But there is an application of a research. We call it polytechnic type education. So it is not just the trade. It is about polytechnic. It is about those mid-level jobs, technologists, technicians. Not everyone would be engineer, doctor, and scientist. You need people to work at the mid-level in the job sector, and that's what the focus has been in the college sector. Thank you.
Thank you. I think with that, we come to the conclusion. A zillion thanks to our expert panelists for their contribution of time and effort in making this session a huge success across really crazy time zones. Thank you. Responses from the students in the chat box shows massive appreciation for you all. Also, a big round of applause for the audience for such amazing questions that kept the session so engaged. Now, we at Canam do look forward to helping you students connect with our university and college partners, get you global career perspectives, and your success will always give us great pleasure. Our team Canam looks forward to serving you seamlessly. Tomorrow, 29 Jan, Sunday, our virtual fair starts, and a lot of our university partners will be participating there in person. You will really meet them and on Zoom, and you can ask them all your questions. So please register on www.canamgroup.com to get your Zoom link. Also, watch out for our February and April in-person admission fairs and workshop, as we officially bring to you more than 70 Canadian universities and colleges across India in various cities. So registrations for these events are also already open on the Canam Group website. Thank you all and have a great year ahead. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye-bye.